All right, so welcome back, everybody. So for this video, we're going to share our top 10 favorite board games. And I have a guest star, one of my best friends here.
I'm One Punch Ben. I love studying languages and playing games.
Ah, yes. So that's my friend. And if you don't already know, I'm a zoo volunteer, and so I really love animal board games. So maybe some of those will be on my top 10 list. So we're also going to share two of our friends who can't join us today for the video. We're going to share their top 10 as well, briefly, and we'll mostly focus on what we have to say, what we like about our particular games. So to start us off with, I'm going to start with one of my friends, Master Fox. We're going to start with our number 10. So here's number 10. Master Fox's number 10 is Memoir 44. That's his number 10. I don't know much about the game myself, but I know it's a war game, which I have not played.
Our friend Zoography, his number 10, is The Oregon Trail, based off the computer game.
Cool.
My number 10 is Catan. With Catan, you can build and trade and even steal other people's belongings, which I find very fun.
Cool. Yeah, I also like that game a lot too. Although it doesn't probably make it to my top 10. Probably not. But it was close. All right, so my number 10 is City of Iron. Now, this is a deck building game of sorts where you have actually two separate decks, which is unusual because usually in most deck building games, you have just one deck. Everyone's responsible for their just one deck. But in City of Iron, you have two small separate decks that you will form. But it's also really cool because you have all these interesting different types of races that you can play as. You've got the toad, the engineer, the toads, they're engineers, but they're toads. Then we have the Crusaderians and obviously humans, and then we've got these boars. Just so obviously lots of animal folk. I really like that about it as well, obviously. But then the battle system is pretty interesting as well, using cards for the battle system, and you're not even attacking other players. You're only attacking towns, so there's no like take that elements in the game. You're not attacking other players, but then you have like a whole bunch of cards that you have. That each race has their own cards, but most of them are similar. They might have one that makes them unique that they can purchase to add to their deck, and there's so many to choose from. So you really it's really interesting which ones you want to go for first. It might vary from player to player, but there's a lot of choices on what you want to add to your deck to make it stronger. And the resource mechanic is also really interesting as well. So that's City of Iron, my number 10. So now we're going to do number 9. So Master Fox's number 9 is Terraforming Mars. That's his number 9. And if you guys watched my other video, my 11 through 20, it made it to my 11 through 20. Terraforming Mars is a wonderful game. Definitely sort of engine building in Terraforming Mars, but obviously trying to increase the temperature and increase the oxygen for Terraforming Mars is really cool. And obviously getting some ocean tiles out really makes the game enjoyable. But that's his number 9, Master Fox's.
So Kakuraphi's number 9 is Catan. So, as I said, wonderful game. If you haven't tried it before, I highly recommend it. It's a great 4-player game.
Catan, cool.
And then for my number 9 game is Deception. This is a game about lying, and what you do is one player is the murderer, and the other players are trying to figure out who among them is the murderer. And there's all sorts of neat hints and clues system, and very fun. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it myself. That's a good one. Okay, so my number 9 is Megaland. This is another game that's from Red Raven Games. City of Iron is from Red Raven Games, and so is Megaland. In Megaland, it's really contingent on luck. You go down into a dungeon, you fight monsters, well, not fight monsters, but you encounter monsters, and you're just not really sure what you're going to encounter on each level as you make your way down. And so it really is contingent on luck how long you should stick around. If you stick around longer, you get more rewards, which then you can use those resources that you find to build buildings in your town, like a bowling alley, for instance, of all things, right? So it's kind of video game-esque, but not really in the sense that you're building a town. That's not really the video game-esque part of the game. But it's still very fun. There's obviously some animal folk involved. There's a cat folk, and there's a frog folk as well. So another reason why I like this game. So that's, and I've had a lot of fun playing this game. So that's my number 9, Megaland. Okay, number 8 is next. And so number 8 is, for Master Fox, is Everdell. That's his number 8. Man, this is an awesome game with critters. It's engine building, it's worker placement, it's creating a town. It's filled with all sorts of animal folk or critters. It's just a wonderful, beautiful game, and I'm happy to see Master Fox put this in his top 10 list. I'm very happy he did, because this is an awesome game. So that is his number 8.
Okay. Now, Kakaraffi's number 8 game is called Terraforming Mars. And just as Spencer mentioned, very great game. Highly recommend it, especially when you get to make the red planet green again.
Again.
And my number 8 is similar theme, Mission Red Planet. However, this game is simply colonizing Mars, and the other players are essentially competing to get the most resources, otherwise the most victory points. So, very fun game.
Yeah, you're going to have to teach me that game one of these days. It's another game I have not played, Mission to Red Planet, but I've heard of it. I've heard it's good. So, anyways, my number 8 is Zoography. Now, Zoography is a very new game. It just came out this year. Obviously, the object of the game is you're building a zoo, and everyone is going to be trying to build their own zoo. But the animal meeples are really cool. There's so many different kinds to choose from that you can add to the game to make it even more enjoyable. There's an expansion that adds a co-op variant, so you can basically work together to create your own zoo, or you can go against each other to try to build, the best zoo you can. And it's a game from Doomsday Robots, which is a sort of a new board game company. They've only made like a couple of games, and this is like basically the second one they've made. So an awesome game for just their second game is pretty good. So I'm looking forward to another expansion coming out next year for Zoography. But man, this is just an awesome game, Zoography.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so number 7. We're already on number 7 already. Wow, we're moving right along. Okay, so Master Fox's number 7 is a game I enjoy, but obviously didn't make it to my top 10. And that is Potion Explosion. This game is really fun. You have these marbles that basically roll down this ramp. So that's just really fun, putting the marbles on the top of the ramp as they slide down. basically clashing with each other. And you're trying to basically make various potions with the different colored marbles, trying to collect as many of the different colored marbles as you can. That's just really fun. So this is definitely one of Master Fox's favorite games, and that's why it made his number 7, Potion Explosion.
All right. For Kakuraphi's number 7 is a game called Villainous. I have no idea what this game is about, but from the pictures, it looks quite fun. So I might have to play this on my own spare time very soon.
Yes, I've been thinking about trying that as well. In that game, you basically play as the villains. You don't play as the heroes, you play as the villains, which is really interesting.
Very.
Very interesting.
Yes. And for my number 7 is Everdale. This is a very common one among all of our lists. That's because it's worth it. If you can afford to buy this game and play with your friends, I certainly recommend it.
Yep, it's a good one, for sure. Okay, so my number 7 is a huge game. It is Empires of the Void 2. This is my most complex game I own. It's also probably the second heaviest game I own, just physically, in a physical setting. In Empires of the Void, the theme of the game is Earth has been attacked by an alien race. But this alien race, they not only conquered Earth, they also conquered other alien races that are in the area. And so a few managed to escape. A few spaceships from each planet basically have managed to escape, or one in particular maybe, managed to escape away from this, alien race that attacked all these worlds. Now, these alien races, they were not really on the best of terms, but they all have a common goal now, and that's survival. And so they have fled to the farthest reaches of space and found a new galaxy with new alien worlds, with new alien races, some of which are basically not the best of friends. Some of these alien races are not the best of friends on certain worlds, so there's a lot of conflict and chaos with some of them, but at the same time, there's some alien worlds that are trying to help out other alien worlds. And you don't even play with all of the planets that are available in the game. You play with 10 out of 12, so there's a lot of, obviously, replayability in the game, and each planet has its own event that takes place. And there's so many different events that each planet has to choose from, so you'll never have the same game twice. And obviously, you get to play as several different alien races. Yes, you can play as the Nomads of Earth, if you really wanted to. But my favorite is the 7th Academy of Eeg, or Egg, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but they're frog people. And then there's the Parasites of Screech, and the Legions of Decima, and the Oracles of Zun. And the Oracles of Zun are really cool. They have like these space suits that they wear that are like force fields. Really, really cool. And they're purple. So that's also really cool. So yeah, it's just so much fun. So many different alien races. There's one of the alien worlds that you can visit in the game has lizard people living on it. And they don't get along with another planet. So this game is also about attacking some worlds and also trying to be a diplomat with some worlds as well. But as you try to be friendly to a certain planet, you might become an enemy of another planet. So that also is a possibility. So there's just a lot going on with this game. It's definitely one of my most complex games, but it's also one of my favorites. And that's another Red Raven game, Empires of the Void 2. So, we're already on to number 6. So, Master Fox's number 6 is New York Zoo. This is his number 6. It's New York Zoo. Obviously, there's animals involved. There's 5 different animals involved in this game. And you're building a zoo, which is awesome. This is definitely an awesome game. You should definitely take a look at it for sure. And that is Master Fox's number 6. Maybe because he likes it so much is because of this. There's an Arctic fox in the game, so that might be why he likes it so much. Because he is Master Fox, and that is his number 6. New York Zoo.
Kakaraffi's number 6 is called Risk. Now, he's a fan of all the Risk games, but particularly this one, Risk Legacy. With this particular Risk, one game isn't necessarily the end of this game. What happens is after the end of every game, an event happens, and you unlock certain cards, dice, etc., and it changes the game. So every time you play this, it's a continuation of your previous game, but changed in some way. And it's very fun. One of the drawbacks is that once you open the box, you can't put it back in. So it's sort of a one-time playthrough, but this playthrough can take you, as long as you want to make it, which is very cool.
Yeah, it was the first of its kind, Risk Legacy. Then they started making a whole bunch of Legacy games after that. But unlike some of the Legacy games out there, Risk Legacy is one of those games that you can continuously play for as long as you want. Some Legacy games, once you make it to the end, it's unplayable. But thankfully, that's not the case with Risk Legacy.
True. And my number 6 is called The Mind. Now, this is a card game. There are cards with numbers on them, numbered from 1 to 100. The goal of this game is you and your other players are trying to go through the entire deck 1 through 100. Each player is given at the start 1 card, and they have to, without talking, place their numbered card in order. So as you can see, the first round is pretty easy, but once you get into the next round, you have to draw 2 cards. The third round, 3 cards. The fourth round, 4 cards. So it progressively gets ever more challenging. And when you are able to get the numbers right in order without talking, it's a very, very fulfilling moment.
Sounds like it. Man, that's another game I haven't played yet. You're going to have to teach me that game one of these days, too. So, my number 6 is Ecos, the First Continent. Now, this game is a game that you can play simultaneously. So there's very little downtime, which is another reason why I like this game so much. That there's very little downtime because everyone is basically getting to put down little cubes on cards all at the same time as a player is taking out these stones out of a bag, which has an element on it. And then we look for those elements on our cards. And if you don't have the element on the cards, then it has another mechanic where you can rotate the dial. This dial that will eventually give you something you can do as well. So you're not left out if you don't have the element or don't have a cube to put on that element and you don't want to move a cube to another spot to cover that up, right? And then, of course, at the same time in this game, you are building a continent. You're basically trying to build the first continent. Now, we're not saying Africa was the first continent that was ever made, but in this game, it is. And so you're building a continent that's basically based off of Africa. You're going to have African animals in the game. And I just recently got the expansion for this game that finally added the Nile crocodile, which was a must-have for sure, Nile crocodile. So then, man, this is an awesome game, and it's also by AEG Games. It's our Olderac Entertainment Group as well. So this is actually my most favorite game from AEG. So that's why it makes it to my number 6. All right, so we've done our 6 through 10, and we'll see you guys in our next video when we do our top 5.